girl, I'm from Jersey. Okay, there is
Hold on,
nothing.
it was the okay.
There is
Hair flip.
there is no white woman that is like more feisty than I am.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
So I mean, I'm definitely the wrong one if that's the case. She is who she. And look, if you have problems with your mama, that's on you. You got to go get counseling for that. Let's not put that on someone else. Let's not put that on a black woman, please.
So I just think it's a woman thing. You just pick. Just say you like white women or you like dating everything else but black women. Just be honest, but don't
Hmm.
downplay us saying that we're just overly dramatic. We're just not your type, and that's okay.
With black women from the beginning, there's an energy. From the beginning.
Hmm.
I could talk to like say 10 white women. Hey, happy Saturday. How's your day going? Hey, my day's going good. How are you doing? Let's say maybe 80% of them respond that way, right?
Hmm.
10 black women, same question, 80% of them, good you. Up top, you see what I'm saying? If they put yourself in a man's position.
What's up, everybody? My name is Mel, and welcome to Life Coaching by Mel. Here at Life Coaching by Mel, we speak truth regarding the nuclear family. And if you're new to the channel, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell so you get each and every one of my videos. Hit that like button for me. Hit me in that comment section. Today is going to be an invigorating conversation that I know you want to contribute to. And be sure to share this with at least one person. Let's get into today's topic. On today's topic, we're going to discuss this age-old question, ladies and gentlemen. This age-old conversation. There seems to be no resolution to it, but we're going to try our best today. Black men dating outside of their race. I have an amazing panel for you today. I'm going to allow them to introduce themselves, and we're going to start with this question as well. What is your overall stance on black men dating, marrying outside of their race? We're going to start with Ashley.
Ooh.
I'm ready for Ashley's answer.
Okay, well, yeah, to introduce myself, my name is Ashley. I have my degree in theology and I'm a bartender, so I always tell people I'm all about the spirits. Um, but how man, how I feel about this is personally how I feel about black men, dating and marrying outside their race, is that it really just takes a high level of responsibility in several ways on both sides. So, first of all, you have the responsibility of the black man to be able to share his culture, or his culture to his wife or girlfriend or whatever, um and he has to really incorporate her in that and not make her feel ostracized from that culture, even though you're going to feel those differences, and then there's a high responsibility on the woman to be very empathetic and to also do a lot of soul searching herself to see what her own biases are, because as a white woman specifically, it could be any other culture, but we all have our own, things that we believe and feel, and biases that sometimes we don't even know exist until you're in that situation, and then it's like it's come to Jesus moment. You got to figure that out. But also, um, I think that you have a responsibility together to, be committed to not letting the narrative of the social climate be that in your own home. So you have to decide together what do we want our climate of our home to be like, knowing what the world is like, and then make that happen for yourselves. You know.
Good stuff. Phil.
Right. I am Phil. Are we talking about degrees? I just have a degree in psychology. I don't really do anything much with it, but I do. How I feel about it? Oh, I'm single, 38. Introduce myself more. To Ashley's point, I agree with that. First of all, I feel about it. I'm all for it. Dating every race. I believe that finding your perfect match and the person that suits you like the best may not be your same color. It's more about the personality and what you have in common and what you gravitate towards. But to her point, I agree that there's a responsibility there. I feel like if a person is going, like, for example, a black man is going to date other race or date a white woman, you have to have the confidence to understand that and the grace with them to understand they may not understand everything about your culture. Ingratiate them into it and be gracious with it. Understand that it's a learning process and be confident enough to deal with the opposition that comes with it, because that sometimes you will deal with in different areas. Be willing to protect her, be willing to stand by her, be willing to be gracious and give her time to learn and include her in the experience and understand, kind of see things also from her perspective to understand what she's also dealing with and not just what you're dealing with. So in a nutshell, I'm all for it, but there's a responsibility with it as well.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Tamara.
Well, hello. I'm Tamara. I am a wife, a mother. I'm also a cybersecurity analyst. So I'm a
Nice.
techie. I'm a techie at heart. I wear many hats in my job, but we won't go into that. But this, I don't have a problem with it. And I was telling Mel, I feel like I would be the perfect person to talk about this because a lot of the men in my family all dated outside their race. I can't
Mm,
even think of, like, mainly on my mom's side, my aunt, she's Italian. Two of my cousins, they're both recently got married to white women. I have some other male cousins. One's Hispanic. He married a Hispanic woman. So I'm used to it. I think I'm used to seeing it, so I've never had a problem with it. I just, you can't help who you love, right? And I just feel like you should, be given that room to do so. I do agree that it takes a lot of responsibility on top of, there should be some talks that happen. Like from what I'm seeing when it comes to racial dating or interracial dating, is family. So it's not even necessarily the couple, it's their respective families that may have, more issues than they do. So you have to have a responsibility to protect each other and your, relationship when it comes to stuff like that. So yeah, opposition could come from external places, but mainly,
mhm,
it could come from your own family. So
mhm.
yeah, you got to do your due diligence in regards to that. But I'm open to it. I don't have a problem with it at all. So
Love it.
I
And
think
you
that's my
got,
stance.
well, nice, good stuff.
Mhm.
And you hit on what's the next question here. What have you noticed about the treatment that black men receive, black men who date and marry outside their race? What have you noticed that they receive, the treatment they receive from other people? We're gonna start with Phil on this.
It always varies. It depending on where, sometimes where you live, the culture you're around. Like
Mm,
Tamara was saying, your family. There's definitely the negative appearance of it. I'll never forget one time I think I was in Atlanta, and I was on a date with a white girl, and the looks that
Mm.
I got, they didn't have to speak. Like the looks were louder than if they spoke. But I'm a very confident person,
Did
so
she
I'm.
notice? Did she notice?
Did she notice? Yeah, of
Oh,
course. I
oh,
had to
okay. I'm just
explain to her why the looks were. She was
okay.
white. She was white, and I had to explain to her why the looks were. And I didn't prep her enough for it. She could handle it. She's pretty strong. She could handle it.
Mhm.
But it was. I wasn't even surprised at the level. Like it was like they didn't care. They wanted you to know that
Mhm.
they have a problem with it. They didn't say anything
mhm,
vocally about it, but the body
mhm,
language, the look was pretty apparent. And so there's a lot of people that feel like you should only date your race. We see it on social media all the time.
Mhm.
It's a conversation all the time. So it's not accepted. I'm sure there's multiple reasons why, but I've noticed some people open to it, but there's a lot of people that are not open to it, and vice versa too. There's even like the white, family that don't want their daughter to date black. My
Mhm.
freshman year, I I dated a white girl my freshman year in college, and her family, her dad was so racist. She told me that if he knew, she would be disowned. It was that serious.
Wow.
Right. And so I met the mom. She was cool. Never met the dad, but I had to end the relationship because it was such pressure. Her sister,
Mhm.
well, she always got in an argument with her sister. Her sister's like, "You're going to tear the family apart." And I'm like, "Listen, you clearly you feel like you're living two lives. This is too much." So I actually had to end the relationship because of the fact that she could never bring me to her family. She could never talk about me with her family, and she felt like she was living two separate lives. So it was really that serious. So yeah, on both sides, they can definitely be a strong opposition to it.
yeah.
Well, you took a white woman on a date in Atlanta. That's shark infested water right there, bro.
I know that's right.
Tamara.
Oh my god. Um, it- I just feel like, okay, from I can't really say I've seen any opposition, like just from my family members, so to speak, because we're really pretty much accepting, and like I said, it's prevalent in my family. But when you see like how people talk like on social media, Lord Jesus, I feel like black women specifically have a problem with it, and
Yeah.
I don't know why they have a problem with it because, again, as a woman, you wouldn't want to, whether you black or not, you don't want to be told who you can and can't date. You know what I'm saying? And they think that, they get better treatment, because of that. But a lot of from what I'm finding, a lot of the black dudes that do date outside their race is normally the men that black women don't give the time of day for whatever reason. And not to say that it's right, but don't complain, when they decide to try to find love elsewhere.
Yeah.
I just think it's more backlash from black women, and I hate to call black women out, Lord Jesus. No, I do, but they want to be able to date outside their race with no problem, but then have a problem when a black man does it.
Mm.
And
Mm.
I just, I don't think that's fair. I feel like that's a double standard, and men should be able to date whoever they want to, essentially. But I think that's probably the most I've seen. And then you do have like the family members, that are not cool with it, So again, it just depends on the dynamics. It really just depends on the dynamics and the type
Yeah.
of family you come from. Um, but yeah, I think that's really it. I think the most opposition is the black women when it comes to how black men move in the dating world.
Nice, Ashley.
Yeah. Sorry, there's an ambulance going by. I don't know if you heard that. This is a good question. Yeah. Now I'm so blessed by the Lord that my parents, they had their own struggles. They weren't able to raise me, so they gave me up. Um, to my dad's mom. So basically, my grandma raised me. But I'm really blessed by that because my dad and my generation before that, we were settlers from Germany, England, and Italy. And so, I mean, I was raised by immigrants basically, and they were like, "Heck no, stay inside your race." Which I'm like, "Well, there's three of them. Which like which race do you want me to stay inside of?" But yeah, my dad actually had a conversation with me one time where he said if I ever dated a black man, that he would take out my husband and take out whatever children we had together. So, I mean, for some people, it's very
What?
serious. Yeah, I
That
mean,
is
he's crazy.
crazy.
No, I mean he
That
gave
is
me up, so
crazy.
it's whatever. But yeah, but so and that's something that kind of like stuck with me for a while. So it kind of like made me feel very insecure because I basically grew up very attracted to people of color, whether it
Hmm.
be Hispanic, Asian, black, whatever it was. I liked, you know, people of color. So that was hard for me because I'm like, well, why do I have these feelings? And I'm just like, dealt with a lot of almost shame from that.
Hmm.
So, and that's just going off of what Tamara said. But to answer the actual question, about seeing the treatment of black men. I have seen both pros and cons. So if my husband and I are out eating with our mixed family, and we see another mixed family, they're the first ones to be like, "Bro, beautiful family,"
Aw.
like, yeah, yeah. And so I love that community. I think it's really special. Um, but then you have family members of his that, I mean, they went off one time about, you're not pro black to him. You're not pro black, you're not pro the, black African American man, all these things. And I felt like they were invalidating his character and his
Mhm.
strength and like just everything about him, so that his voice in the conversation no longer could exist because he's married to a white woman. And then, same on me. I've had friends that have said on social media, "Oh, did you forget that you're white?" when I'm having very pro-black conversations. And so these are just the things that you're gonna
Mm.
deal. I mean, you're just gonna deal with them. It's just part of it, and
Mhm.
it just comes down to we just don't match. You know what I mean?
Mhm. Mhm.
And that's just what it is. It just is what it is. But I mean, is it worth it? Absolutely. But do I see the mistreatment of specifically black men? Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. Any responses to that or to anything that was stated?
Well, I just think it's so interesting, like, when she said, you see another blended family or a mixed race family, and it's just like that community. And sometimes you need that. And I didn't even think about like just hearing from your perspective. You brought up some things like, yeah, I was actually you being on this panel, I had a feeling. Okay. I was like, she must. Okay. So and so yeah, it's rare that you hear it from, the other side like that. And some of the like people are questioning your, ethnicity now because you're
Yeah.
dating somebody, outside your race. But why does that make me less, than what I am? I don't know how that happened.
I don't know.
That's
I like
pretty
it
That
though.
cool.
was a fire point. That was a fire point
No,
Great
right there.
point.
did I
Great
say
point.
I did
Finger snaps.
not? Oh my god, right. But yeah, I just it's interesting to hear from your standpoint. And then like there are times where like I know this one couple that we're friends with. I'm friends with on Facebook, but you know they're a blended family. It's a black man and it's a white woman, and she talks a lot, you know, about a lot of the black issues. And you know sometimes she gets backlash because she's speaking up so much. But again,
Yep.
this is not even people just look at things, you know, because in like a granular manner like that. But even if you were not dating somebody outside your race, I think we all as a people should stand for what's right and what's wrong, period. You
Absolutely.
know? So it shouldn't even matter who she's married to or who he's married to. You know, right is right and
Hmm.
wrong is wrong. And people have to learn how to separate, you know, your color, you know, from that. Um,
Hmm.
so I just think that's so interesting that people were trying to your own race was trying to disown you, girl. Like that is crazy to me. That's so
Yep.
crazy to
Yep.
me.
Yep. Well,
So
Yeah,
because you know
how do you
the
deal with
only
it?
how did I deal with it?
Hmm.
You know what? And I just call out. I feel like everybody that makes comments that are negative, it's really a reflection on them, not me. And
Hmm.
so I really just put it back on them and say like, I'm sorry that you're so uncomfortable that I'm not that you feel like I'm not sticking up for white people now. That feels like a you problem though. You know what I mean? Like
Right, right.
yeah,
you got enough of you anyway. I don't know why this matters, but you just put it back on them. Like that's not my thing. It's not for me
Hmm.
to care about or to validate, you know?
100%. And I think what was that? I think it was that Dr. Umar that was talking about how if a black
Oh Lord.
man dated a white girl, like a white woman would never understand the struggle of a black man. And what I've seen, white women who date black men will put their life on the line over any injustice. When I was like,
Hmm.
even in situations where a black person may stand down, they,
Hmm.
especially if they have kids with that man, but when they see injustice, they
Hmm.
will go all sometimes overboard and we will defend that black man big time. It's what I've seen. So that narrative is just so not true. It's so not true
Yeah,
at all.
Yeah.
I
And
I
if
agree.
had a
I can
bad joke.
can I
I'm gonna let
comment
it
on
go.
that specific thing?
Please do.
So, from my perspective, being a white woman, I think that once you're with a person of color, you feel your own privilege and how the world treats you differently. That's just real. So
Mm,
I think at some point the reason white women go so hard is because we understand that the world will hear us and that I'm going to use my privilege for this moment.
okay.
Not for me to get out of a speeding ticket. You know what I'm saying?
All right.
This is what I'm using my privilege for.
Yeah,
Good point.
most definitely.
Yes, I'll say white women some of the most brave people in the world. Do you ever see them go like up to like random animals? Like you be like,
Oh yeah. Listen. What white women, I just say, actually no shade. This is not even supposed to be a shady statement, but y'all be some bold women, boy. Y'all are bold. And so that's why I'm like, I'm not really mad at it. Like sometimes, because a lot of times, if you're using that boldness in the right capacity, yeah, that could work out, you know, in everybody's favor. But yeah, white women be
Yeah.
some bold individuals, boy.
I, I'm not that type. If a gun goes off, I don't run to the window. I'm not trying to look.
all right, appreciate that question. I mean, that answer got great points there. Let's move over to our next one. Now, y'all kind of hit on this a little bit, so we're gonna go on it directly. It's often said that black men date, marry outside of their race due to the negative attitudes, behaviors of black women. First off, do you agree with this? If not, what is the more common reason in your view? We're gonna start with Tamara.
uh, so
Take your
it's so
time. Take
funny
your time.
because, well, no, because I was just thinking, because me and my husband were just having this conversation, right? And I was like telling him I was gonna come on here and talk about this, and I wanted to get his standpoint because I even asked him. I said, "Did you ever date outside your race?" He said, "Well, I haven't been in a he's dealt with women outside of his race before we got married, but he's never been in a serious relationship." And I was like, "Well, why do you think black men tend to date outside their race? Because
Mhm.
again, men talk differently, when women ain't around and." So he was just like, yeah, temperament. They a lot some of the black guys that date outside the race, they don't really care for our temperament. But I had recently had a conversation with a family member of mine, and we were her siblings date outside, their race. And I was like, well, I said, did y'all ever have a conversation about it? And she was like, yeah. She said, I asked him, and same thing, temperament. It's the temperament. Like they feel like white women are probably a little bit more calmer. They're a little bit more willing to cooperate with you. And I think it's all about, but I've also seen some feisty white women, so I can't even say that's just a white woman thing. That's what I'm saying. Like, I just think you're picking the temperament that you like. It's just like you think all black women act dramatic, and all black women aren't the same. Like,
Mm-hmm.
to call Joy out, Joy would not be acting dramatic. Okay, Joy is not the dramatic black woman. So I'm a little dramatic, so that's why I ain't call myself that. I'm a little dramatic, but I just, when I look at Joy, she's very professional. You know what I'm saying? And she looks like she can hold her own. She's very cautious about what she says. She's very intelligent. Like, meeting a woman like that, yeah, I don't think she's the what they would call the average black woman. But then I've also met white women, in my opinion, that are more dramatic than black women. So I just don't think that's a fair assessment, in my opinion, to say that black women are a little bit more dramatic. We do have our own little flair. We do have our own little things about us, the same way white women have their own little things about them. So I
Mm-hmm.
just think it's just about gravitating to what you want. But don't just discredit black women as a whole because you feel like we're just all so dramatic. We're hard to control, or we
Mm-hmm.
don't cooperate like we're supposed to. My husband even said, like, some men like that, but he
Mm-hmm.
wanted a woman that would stand up for herself. Like, don't always go with what I'm saying. If I'm saying something wrong, check me on it. Don't just sit here and just follow the leader if I'm leading you down a hole, that's not the right path. So he just wanted somebody that was going to speak up for themselves, and black women tend to do that. But I also feel like white women tend to do that. So I don't know. I just think it's your preference. Like, honestly, that's how I'm
Yeah.
talking through this. I feel like women are women. Women are dramatic. Women are emotional. Women, you just gotta deal with more women outside your race. And I think as a woman, I'm in circles where I'm around all types of women. I'm around white women, Hispanic women, Asian women, Middle Eastern women, and I have seen feistiness in every ethnicity. And that's why I'm like, well, what are y'all picking up? And then if you're saying black women are not able to calm down or give you what you need, then those are the type of women you see either immersing yourself with. That's the type of content that you're looking at. But all of us are not like that. All of us are really not like that. So I just think it's a woman thing. You just pick. Just say you like white women, or you like dating everything else but black women. Just be honest, but don't
Mm-hmm.
downplay us saying that we're just overly dramatic. We're just not your type, and that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Look, Ashley.
All right, Ashley, since you man, go ahead.
Yeah, so 100%, Tamara, I agree with you. My thing is, as a feminist, which I think everyone should be because it's about equality, right? But as a feminist, I don't think that I like men blaming women for anything. You know what
Mm-hmm,
I'm saying?
mm-hmm,
So, and I have heard this narrative of black men saying, "Oh, people are more agreeable," or Hispanics are more agreeable, or whatever it is. Girl, I'm from Jersey. Okay, there is
hold on.
nothing.
It was the okay.
There is
Careful.
there is no white woman that is like more feisty than I am.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
So I mean, I'm definitely the wrong one if that's the case. But yeah, I've heard that narrative, and I'm like, you know what? Let's not blame women. Like you said, just say what it is. Just say she looks better to you, and you like her personality more, or she has the body that you prefer. I don't know, but let's not blame black women
Or their temperament. Yeah, let's
for
not
their
do that.
temperament. She is who she. And look, if you have problems with your mama, that's on you. You got to go get counseling for that. Let's not put that on someone else. Let's not put that on a black woman, please.
Oh, all right, Phil.
All right, praise the Lord, everybody.
Come on,
All right,
Phil.
well,
Come
I'm gonna
on,
take it from a different angle. First, to start off with, I will say nothing is ever all conclusive, right? Nothing is ever all women, all men, right? So even some things I might say may say black women, but it's obviously not all black women. Everything is about law of large numbers, right? So to your point, Tamara, when a man is saying it's about temperament, I feel like temperament is even a nice word. Now, let me give a backstory.
Mhm.
I've dated all races. I'm in these streets, I'm single, right? So I've dated all races, and I've been on, dating sites, and I'm very big on communication. So
Mhm.
I ask the same questions to the different women, like the same opening question, right? And the biggest thing I have noticed from the women I've dated and those I've chatted with, I never even met in person, with
Mhm.
Black women from the beginning, there's an energy from the beginning. I
Mhm.
could talk to like say 10 white women. Hey, happy Saturday. How's your day going? Hey, my day's going good. How are you doing? Let's say maybe 80% of them respond that way, right?
Mhm.
10 black women, same question, 80% of them, good you. Up top, you see what I'm saying? If you think, put yourself in a man's position. Up top, now there's nothing to go off of. We've not even got to know each other. This is just opening conversation.
Right.
And there's already that. And then as you continue to talk, if you say anything that disagrees with them, instantly you know that conversation is about to be over because it's taken personally. This is even in social media, right? I just had a conversation on online. I love to get on threads on whether it's YouTube or Instagram or whatever and chime in. There was Rick Ross posted a video with this girl he's dating now with some about she cooked for him, right? He posted a picture of the food and he says, now pay attention to my words. Fellas, will you is she a keeper if she can't cook? Once again, fellas, is she a keeper? Who's he talking to?
The fellas.
Fellas, right? Get in the comment. Guess who's most of the people you see in the comments? There
Black
might
women.
be more black women in the comments than men. Now, there's nothing wrong with jumping in and maybe asking a question, chiming in the topic, but it became castigating him for his past relationship and all this stuff. So I jumped into one of the people that responded, one of the black women that responded, and I simply asked, he was talking to the men. The fact that you're even responding and judging him and all this says more about you than him.
Mhm.
Guess what her response was? Oh, I'm tired of you zesty men. It becomes an insult to the man.
Oh, the
See, this is
sexuality
where I say that
thing.
temperament is too nice. One of the biggest things we notice, you can't have just a civilized, honest disagreement without disrespect.
With those
So it's
type of
not
black
so
women.
much feisty, it's the communication and the word choices. There
Mhm.
is this automatic assumption that if I disagree with you, as a black woman, if I disagree with you, I have to insult you. I have to hit you. It's either you're gay, you're zesty, or you're hurts, what one of those. And all the person is asking a question. So
Mhm.
that's where the issue comes in, where with other races, and once again, it's not all inclusive, it's just law of large numbers. Other races will be more open to have the conversation even if they disagree with you, it's how they disagree. So that's one of the things. The other part of it is cooperation, willingness to compromise. And so I'll never forget I was having this conversation. This chick was Spanish, and we are talking about dating. And then I was telling her about kind of my experiences with black women and other races. And she was like, I guess that makes sense because she has a friend who's a black guy. They had to go somewhere. She pulled up to his house to pick him up, and he was running late. So and she was like, oh, you know what? I'm just gonna iron your shirt for you while you're getting ready. He froze, and she's looking at him like, what's wrong? He's like, a black woman would never do that. You see what I'm saying? Now, once again, it's not all black women, but this is
Yeah.
just a friend. He's not even dating her. But she
Mhm.
didn't see the big deal. She's like, I'm just helping you. That's just kind of an example of kind of the things we see as black men dating other races, where other races don't see it as a big deal to pitch in to help. Where with a black woman, you just get this energy from the beginning of the conversation. If you disagree with her, it becomes insulting. It's just you just don't want to deal
Mhm.
with it. Now, me personally, if I had to choose all things being equal, I had to choose a race, I'd choose a black woman. I love a beautiful black woman. But there is no doubt that there's a difference in the ego, the arguments when it's not necessary. You feel like you're fighting, even when you shouldn't have to. Even when you're just quiet and like I'm a person that will speak my mind, but I'm never disrespectful. But even when it's just a question of, hey, why this or why, then it becomes instant change. So like I
Mm.
said earlier, it's not all black women, but
Mhm.
when your husband Tamara was talking about temperament, that's kind of what he's referring to.
Yeah.
It's how you say something, not
Yeah.
that you're speaking up for yourself, but how you do it.
You say
Is
your
it just
tone and
your
your
tone,
energy.
and are you doing casting aspersion or castigating the man just
Mhm.
because you disagree with the man? So
Mm.
Mhm.
that's kind of
I
the
agree with that.
experience I've had.
I agree with that. I do think my post sisters, Lord. I know I be trying, man. I know, Phil. I know. There sometimes their temperament do be embarrassing me. There's not, but like I said, there's some emotionally intelligent black women out there. There's some
Mm.
of us that can
Definitely,
have a conversation
definitely.
and without taking things so personal. But I
Hmm.
think when you're, especially like when you're out on social media, you're gonna find more people that are not emotional intelligence.
Hmm.
So you're gonna get a lot of reactionary
Yeah.
based,
Right.
responses. Even when you're talking about energy. Now I feel I kind of agree because because it's gonna be a new video I'm about to post. I had made a video a couple, it was like last year, I think. And black women tend to have a problem with a man asking them to smile. And I think that is fucking crazy.
Man.
Okay, and let me and I just why are you upset about somebody trying to lift your spirits up by asking you to freaking smile? Like, I just took it as a compliment. Like, somebody just was trying to lift my spirits. Hey, you too pretty,
Hmm.
not to smile. But what was
Hmm.
interesting, I had saw a video today, matter of fact, and it was this black woman going around. I think she was in Walmart, and she was like, "Hey, King." Every black man she saw, "Hey, King, you are just too handsome not to be smiling." No backlash. You know
No
what they
backlash, right?
did?
I was just
They
about to say
started
that.
blushing. They
I
started
appreciate it.
smiling. And I feel like that should be the natural reaction when somebody tells you to or asks you to smile. Not tell, Lord, let me not say tell. When they ask you to smile. And that's why I was like, when somebody had asked me to smile, I take it as a compliment. Like, you're just trying to lift my spirits. I don't read too
Hmm.
much more into it. Or just simply say, "Oh, I apologize. I just have a lot on my mind," and then, you just kind of laugh it off. But it was just and then when I posted that video, how many black men, well, why do I gotta smile? Why I gotta appease them? Why I gotta? And I'm like, well, why can't you? Why can't you? Like, what is the problem? Like,
Hmm.
I was like, why is somebody telling you to smile a problem? Well, I don't have to prove that I'm happy to anybody. Well, if you were truly happy, I don't
Right.
feel like that would be your natural reaction.
Right.
So I'm a happy person. Like, y'all, I am so friendly. I'm very personable. I talk to everybody. So yeah, I'm very much a people person. So yeah, when I've had those interactions, I never looked at them as a negative
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
connotation. I always looked at it as like how is smiling negative? I
Right.
just I just don't get it. So I can see where you're coming from
Hmm.
in that regard. Or, yeah, the moment that you mention, certain type of black women, now it's, oh, well, all black women ain't like that. Like, I could call out black women. Well, I don't like the way you said that. Okay, let's be
Right.
logical here, sis. Let's be logical. If I'm talking about a particular type of black woman and I'm calling out black women, I'm clearly not talking about myself. So I'm not talking about every black woman. It's just the stupidity that comes
Yeah.
with, you just trying to speak in general. So when you
Yeah.
said that, I was like, some black women, because I know how black women gonna be. So I try to add that at the end of
Yep.
one of your statements.
Right.
So because I know that's what they come with. They miss the whole message because
Right.
they feel like you didn't specify it's a particular group. We're very sensitive.
Yep.
And I think to a certain degree, black women are very sensitive because we had to, yeah, I feel like we got to work a little harder at times.
Hmm.
I think we're operating off of trauma,
Hmm.
Right.
off of unhealed trauma.
Right.
We're always on a defense. I think we feel like we've been hurt, by our own men, so to speak, and or
Right.
we're not supported by our own men. So I think that's where that comes from. Where there
Right.
might be some validity in that for some women, yeah, I just don't think, yeah, that's not an all black woman thing.
Right.
And there's more toxic women than there are good women. I'll admit that. So yeah, Phil, I'm not surprised that you're with
Yeah.
what you're coming across, because there's not a lot of emotional intelligent women. There's not a lot of women that can control their emotions and manage it. It's kind of like finding a rare gem. Like, it
Hundred
really
percent.
is. And that's something that takes, effort, and she has to be open and willing to, try. And a lot of women are just black women are guarded off top because they don't want their time wasted.
100%.
Um so I think that's kind of where it comes from. But yeah, I can't. You right, Phil. I know.
I
I know.
think that so like yeah, and I feel like to your point, like obviously there's a lot of men, women, everybody deal with some kind of trauma. Usually that causes that. But I
Mhm.
think the problem is when certain black women think that their past hurt justifies their present
Oh,
behavior.
I agree.
You
I
right?
agree.
So now because you've been hurt by some other guy, you feel like that justifies how you treat men going forward. Like if we
Hmm.
all did that and treated people based on our past hurts, we'd all be single. You know
Right.
what I mean? So it's still the onus and responsibility is for you to do the work and get healed. Like, don't be
Mhm.
on a dating site if you're not healed. You're not ready. Don't be looking for men when you're not ready. Like, because
Mhm.
technically, it's not my responsibility that you're hurt. It'd be like if I was going to buy a car and you were selling me a car, so you're supposed to picture how beautiful it is, right? And I pull up to see the car, and there's a big old dent on the right side that you didn't show. And then you look at me like, well, no, it wasn't my fault. It was parked, and then somebody hit. I don't care. No, I don't want a damaged car. That's your responsibility
Right.
to fix that. You know what I mean? So
Right.
just because it wasn't your fault that the car got damaged doesn't mean I should accept that. And so the
Mhm.
same thing, everybody has to do the work and be healed before getting to deal with other people from a romantic perspective, because being hurt does not justify disrespecting or hurting other people.
Oh, I agree. And you shouldn't be on no dating site either.
Mhm.
Because how you supposed to find
100%.
somebody that want to deal with that if you are dealing with hurt? Nobody should be dealing. You're gonna deal with people's certain baggage when it comes to people, but it should be something like that. Like that's something
Mhm.
that you should definitely learn to heal from. And I can't even say heal from, because healing is just a continuous journey.
Right.
Like you don't ever
Yes.
stop healing. But you got to be in a zone where we see you trying and putting in effort. I even had to calm down. Like, I just think, your environment, what you see, what you're around, I've had to learn to, calm down myself. Me and my husband had to work through something. Bless his little heart. So, I just it's a learning process. But you got to be committed to, wanting to be better for yourself and your potential partner. That should be the goal. So, but
Mhm.
Nice.
Ashley, you
We
got
forgot
black.
about Ashley.
I'm about to say I was gonna ask Ashley a direct question. You
Yeah,
have you have black female friends?
I I do and I don't. A lot of them are just family members now, but I used to, in college and my young adult life in my 20s, when I had friends and not just was a mom, I definitely had a lot of black girlfriends for sure. Yeah.
And the only reason why I asked that, because I was curious, like if you have black friends now, how they feel about your relationship. Do they have a problem with it? Do you or
No,
anybody
not
like
at
you would
all.
consider? Okay,
Not
okay,
at all. All my girlfriends pretty much, like, when me and my husband got together, they were like, "Well, that makes sense," like.
right, right.
So it wasn't a shock for them. I had already sort of been in the community to some degree,
Hmm.
and they never, and I forget who said it. Maybe it was Phil said, or no, I think it may have been you, Tamara, that said, sometimes those just the black man isn't the one that's necessarily wanted by the black women either, and so
Hmm.
that's who my husband was. And
Oh,
also,
okay.
no white man wants me. I'm too much for a white man. so, so we really were that sort of niche, different of our own race. So we just kind of fit together.
Did you ever ask him, or did y'all ever have a conversation why he decided to date outside his race, or what made him decide that was his preference? I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I think that sort of the same things that we kind of talked about. Temperament was
Okay.
probably an issue, from his own description. But also, um, I think that black women just didn't choose him either. I think it was just a
Okay.
mutual.
Okay.
It was just a mutual understanding where
Mhm.
they just didn't match as well, And
Mhm.
I think he had told me a story about sort of being on a date with a black woman, and it just didn't feel organic, and it was very much like she was like, and you're gonna pay for this, and you're gonna do this, and da da da, and he was like, this is a lot. So
Yeah. Yeah.
you know,
See, I was going to go there, but I left that off. I didn't want to go too far. I left
Oh,
that
okay. So
off.
that was your experience with it. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
God, I
But see,
tried.
but
I
see, I'm a weird one too. Because if a man tells me to smile, I'm not smiling. Like I'm not. I'm a very like you're not gonna make me perform for you, sir.
really, I just
Yeah,
that is so crazy to me, because I just feel like that is such a simple, like, nice gesture. Like I just, but I
for the
smile
record,
all the
I'm always.
time.
I was gonna say I smile constantly. So
Yeah.
if I'm not smiling and you're like I need you to smile, I'm like not for you, not today.
But it's just, but then that was just so interesting. But I think seeing the guys' responses to that, it was just kind of made it seem like, well, what are we really upset about when people say
Mm,
that? Because I mean, wait till I post this doggone video. You can tell that men don't get approached like that a lot, or men are not complimented, a lot like that. So for to have somebody not only give them a compliment and
yeah.
then asking him to smile all of them smiled, all of them blushed, all of them kind of
Uh-huh.
showed her some type of love back. And you're not going to get that from women. I feel like women sometimes overthink things. Like nobody's thinking more of the situation than what we do sometimes. And so that's why I
100%.
try to be a little bit logical about it. Like I'll even have, I'll get approached when I'm out and about. But I don't make more of it. I'll let them know I'm married. They might give me compliments. I appreciate it, and I keep it moving. Like it shouldn't be a thing where nobody has to tell anybody anything. And I think
Yep.
like if nobody ever complimented you, that would impact you. Like if nobody ever said
100%.
anything nice to you, nobody ever approached you, nobody ever said you were handsome or beautiful or that would mess with people. And so we
Mhm.
can't complain when people go out their way to try to, show you some love here and there. I think we all need love. And a lot of times, like you said, if I'm not in the mood, well, maybe you needed that. Maybe y'all crossed paths because you needed your spirits lifted. And
Correct.
why would we
Mhm.
shun away somebody trying to be nice to you? That's
Mhm.
how I look at it. But Ashley, do your thing, girl. We know you feisty. So.
Appreciate you.
Turn
um,
the conversation, ladies and gentlemen.
mhm.
I love it. I love it. Let's go on to our next question here. With the history of racism in America, what considerations should this type of couple have? We're gonna start with Ashley on this
Oh gosh. You're gonna start with me on this one. Oh gosh.
Because you know
What
firsthand.
what considerations should we have? Okay, so kind of what I touched on earlier. I think that we have to have the hard conversations, right? We have to say this is what the world looks like. And I think I gave Mel this a sort of like idea. I text him about sort of what I was going to say on different things. But one of them is we don't raise our children like based on what they ooh flies. Excuse me. Oh my god. Sorry.
one. Whoa, that was a
On
bit. That was a
Did
fly.
you see that?
Yes,
That
that
was
looked like the one that was on
rude.
the former vice president doing a debate. Remember that one flew.
That was an aggressive one. Ew. Anyway, um, but I think, we don't raise our children to be like, oh, sometimes they tell a lie. Therefore, I'm going to treat them like they're a liar. And now everything that they say and do, I'm going to be like, well, you don't want to be a liar. Like, that's not how we treat our children. We treat them the way that we want them to be, right? And that's kind of what you need to do inside your relationships and inside your family is like, we can acknowledge there's racism in America. It goes in all directions, but it's particularly been a not great road for Black Americans, African Americans, and we can acknowledge that. But we don't want to go through life like over correcting that and bringing that narrative into our own home, right? So we have to have these hard conversations. We need to talk about it. We need to be open about it. But we have to bring it back and say, what do we want our family to look like? What are the values that we want our family to represent and to have in our home? What's the narrative of our family? And then that's how those are the decisions that we make. That's what we act off of. Because we're not going to give power to that narrative in the world. We're going to change it. And it starts with us, right? So
Good stuff. Phil.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, it's the more reason why we have to be more understanding, more inclusive, and respect people's choices. Because that's all racism was people being forced to do things against their will and not just treating people different based on color. And so, if we are treating people different because they're dating other races, it's basically the same thing. And
Mhm.
so, there has to be that respect of people's choices. There has to be understanding of what people are dealing with already, being in those relationships, and being more understanding. You can have an opinion about it, but just doesn't mean you have to treat them that a different way because of it. Have your opinion, keep it to yourself. Everybody has an opinion, but don't make the couple or anybody in that couple feel a certain way just because you disagree. Let's face it, it's not your life and not your relationship anyway.
mhm,
So that's how I feel about it. There should be more consideration. If anything, we should show them more love in
Mhm.
those situations, considering what they have to deal with in society anyway.
Mhm.
Good stuff. Tamara.
Um, yeah, I mean, the cultural differences have to be respected. I also find I hear from like, just the stories I've heard from mixed children. They don't know who to identify as. They don't know whether they belong. Sometimes they're too black to, be with the white kid to hang out with the white kids, and sometimes they're not black enough to hang out with the black kids. And you're dealing with, trying to balance that out and figure yourself out. I think that's a thing, sometimes. And I think we have to take that into consideration because they're trying to figure out their identity. Um, and I just think how it more so it impacts our kids. Now, what I do appreciate, because of our, racist history. I think we're progressing a lot better. A lot of my cousins are mixed race, so, and a lot of them, I feel like they kind of hang out with more on the Caucasian side. But again, environment, plays a role in that. So I just think we have to be open, no matter, especially in a blended world. Yeah, you're black or white, or black and Hispanic, or black and Asian. Like, it shouldn't, I don't like when people just say that they're just black, because they're not just black. So if they
Mhm.
have two individual cultural, differences in the household, how am I just black when I have to respect a whole nother parent that's not of that ethnicity? I don't think that's fair. So I think we try to box, sometimes mixed races, into, one particular thing. But why do we have to do that? They should be able to dwell wherever, their parents are, each of a certain race. Why can't they be classified as either or? Like, I don't like how,
Mhm.
yeah, that you have an ounce of black in you, you're black. Okay, I want to count the fact that I'm black, but let's not discredit the fact that I'm also Asian, or let's not discredit the fact that I'm also Italian. Let's not discredit the fact that I'm also Hispanic, whatever, it may be. So I really don't like how we have to mark on the box on paperwork what ethnicity we are. There's one race, it's a human race. Okay, that's what we were supposed to be. We put so much on checking boxes when sometimes people are not made to be in a box. Okay, we're
Mhm.
so diverse and we have so many things that come with us. I just don't think it's fair. I think society set us up to where we have to identify as something, right, when it comes to our ethnicity, when you're a mixed race. And I just think you should be able to count for both, and that be okay. If I say that, I'm half Asian or whatever, that's not me downplaying the fact that I'm black. If I say I'm black, that's not me downplaying that my other side. So I just think there just needs to be more openness, more acceptance. Just because I'm mixed doesn't mean I belong to one particular group, because I don't. Um, and so that's just kind of how I look at it. I just think we still have some growing to do. But yeah, I have found that kids, like mixed kids, they have a hard time sometimes because they don't understand. They're not accepted between the two worlds that they're made of, and I just think that's crazy.
I would love for
So,
Phil and Ashley, because Tamara landed on something great there,
mhm,
and I was kind of hoping the
Mixed
conversation went
children.
there. So if you
mhm.
guys, what's your point on that? What's your stance on that? Just the fact that we got any drop, the one drop rule, they're considered black. Where's your
I
stance on that?
mean, if there's plenty of people that still stand by, they don't believe that there's systematic racism in America.
Mhm.
And I think the fact that you have to check a box is the literal proof of it, because that's what you was used to downplay people's intelligence. That
Correct.
was what was used to control societies. That
Mhm,
was what was used for you not to be able to get a job, for you to feel less than.
mhm,
If you're just in the world and you're just having a good time and whatever, whatever, and then they're saying, okay, but now you need to mark what you are, you're not having fun anymore. Like, that's to control
mhm,
you,
mhm,
that's to like diminish your spirit so that you can't accomplish more. So you don't feel good about who you are, because of how negatively that connotation was planned and written for us, right?
mhm.
So, um, but I think that with having mixed children is definitely complicated. I personally raised them to identify as whatever they want to identify as. My daughter does not think she's white at all. And and maybe that's my fault because I'm always like, white people crazy, and she's always like, well, good thing I'm not white.
I'm not crazy.
I'm definitely not crazy. But yeah, she identifies as what she wants to identify, and but when I take him to the doctor's office and I mark both white
Black and
and
white.
black.
Okay. Yes, you better account for both. That's what
Cause
I'm talking about.
I'm
Because
not,
I'm like,
yeah,
I was
I'm not playing these games. And what's crazy too? Not that we're talking about Hispanic people specifically, but I think it's really interesting that sometimes we have to mark not Hispanic. I'm like, what is
Ain't that
that?
crazy?
Like, okay, everyone else is okay. Yeah, I don't know. It's wild.
Like,
It's wild out
Yeah,
here, y'all.
I agree with
well,
that.
okay.
I
Well,
mean,
oh,
it's
Ashley. So let me ask you this: with your kids, how old are your kids?
So I've been married two different times. So I call them, I have my white kids and I have my dark kids. My white kids are 18 and 15, and then I got a 6-year-old and a 4-year-old. So the
So you
the
have so
mixed,
you have two. you have two fully white kids and then two
Correct.
mixed kids.
Yeah, I got a redhead and I got blonde hair and I
Okay,
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Like a
So,
color
I
what do
got the
wheel.
you
whole
notice?
rainbow.
Who do you notice they're gravitating towards? Like, what kind of friends are they bringing home? Are you seeing like a diverse mix between them?
For sure. I
Mhm.
mean, as far as they're concerned, they don't see color, and not in the way that we say I don't see color, right? Like they
Mhm.
respect everyone's ethnicity,
Mhm.
and they give value to everyone's ethnicity, but it's not a factor for them. They don't care.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, I think that more black children are attracted to my children than
Okay.
maybe white kids are,
Mhm.
but my daughter's gonna be friends with everybody. She does not care. If you're not gonna be her friend, she will make you be her friend.
Oh my gosh. And
Yeah.
do you see any so between like your two mixed ones and then your full Caucasian ones, like how is that dynamic? Is there cultural differences in that?
We're such a blended family, like,
Okay.
and that's what's so that's what's so special about a mixed race family. Our
Mhm.
normal is our normal, right?
Mhm.
We're
Mhm.
used to being half white, half black. So having two white children and two black children, they just think that that's normal because mom and
Normal.
dad.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
and like, and they don't know the difference. So my husband helped or did raise my younger or my oldest ones.
Okay.
So, and for all intents and purposes, that's their dad. So there's just my youngest one just thinks, oh, they had two white kids and they had two black kids. Like that's just what they think,
So if your husband goes and picks up or deals or shows up, it's just him for
Yeah.
your white, your full white kids. Is that a weird? Does he have weird interactions with people? Do they look at him crazy because of that?
I think more so, you'd have to ask him that. That's interesting.
Okay.
I think more so adults.
Uh-huh.
But the kids think it's the coolest thing ever. Like
Okay.
it's I don't, and this is really sad, but it's finally cool to be black, I guess, because like these kids will be like, Jude's my redhead, like, Jude, your dad really is black. We thought you were joking this whole time. And like running, like dapping my husband up and just like, we're so
Uh-huh.
good and then my husband's so smiley and so nice. And so
Yeah.
he just, I mean, he automatically is like everyone's favorite when he walks in the room. So I mean, the
That's
kids love
beautiful.
it. I don't know,
Okay.
I don't care about the adults, but the kids love it.
Okay. Okay.
All right,
I
Phil,
was
I
just
think you had a
curious.
thought, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much everything else already been said. I mean, it's obvious. It's sad that it's like, okay, if someone has a little black in them, then they're considered black, but can't be considered white.
Hmm.
Obviously that it's kind of a systemic racism thing. But I think at the end of the day, I don't have kids. If I had kids, I would raise them primarily to be confident who they are and like what Ashley talked about. If they're mixed race, identify what they're comfortable identifying and understand its content of character, not so
Hmm.
much the color, because society makes us put
Correct.
so much emphasis on color, but it's more so about character. So yeah, I mean, I think that it's a beautiful thing when you see like them getting along with a family that's so blended, and it helps
Hmm.
them prepares them for the real world too and what they may have to
Yes.
deal with too. So I
Yes.
think that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Awesome stuff. Awesome stuff. As we wrap up today, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to give you guys an opportunity to give your final message and a potential controversial take. Feel free to let it all out, whatever you want to say here.
Oh
And
God.
just to get us kicked off good and ready, we're going to get Phil. Phil, you go first, brother.
Thank you, Jesus. Go
Um,
ahead, Phil.
I
I know. I was like, don't.
Well, like, don't call me
I
first.
don't even I didn't have anything intense. So it's just I was gonna sing a song. But I mean, I think we've pretty much covered the topics. I think at the end of the day, just to recap what we talked about, nothing is ever every all inclusive, right? In every race, there's issues, there's good and bad in every race and every gender. So as much as the topic is primarily focused on black men dating outside the race, like I said, there's a lot of good black women as well too. I think that's important to be talked about. So it's nothing is ever all black women or all inclusive, but it's just a reality that there is some work to be done, and we can't ignore the fact that this is a reality. And if you talk to any black men who dates different races, this is something that they deal with. There's definitely a noticeable difference in whether you call it temperament, whether you call it lack of compromise, whatever you want to call it. There's a noticeable difference. So my last take would be, particular to black women, instead of just saying love black women no matter what, ask questions, gain understanding, have respectful conversations. It's okay to disagree. It's not okay to disrespect. It's one of the
Yeah.
things I always say. So you
Mhm.
don't have to agree, but you don't have to castigate. You don't have to insult the person because you disagree. You don't have to attack the person's character. You don't have to call them gay because like everything doesn't have to go that route. Be
Mhm.
willing to ask questions. So if you have questions as to why all these black men are they not outside the race, the black men they're not outside the race. Ask them the question so you gain factual understanding, and maybe that can also help you in behavior, or maybe not you, but also people you meet. So when you meet your friends or other black women who have questions about the same thing, you can say, well, I talked to these men and this is what they said. And we can all help each other do better. Because even black men have things they have to work on. Black men are not perfect either. You know what I mean? But based staying on the topic is just that there needs to be more open conversation to gain insight, gain factual understanding versus just assuming. Because some of the things I've heard too is, oh, these black men just want a woman they can control, or just want a woman to do whatever they say. The concept is just ridiculous, but this is because there's no factual understanding and you're not asking questions to the men and getting understanding as to why they're doing what they're doing. So that's what I would say would be my final thought is anything that you don't understand, ask questions and have that conversation respectfully so you can gain factual understanding.
Mm-hmm.
Good stuff, Tamara.
Uh, well, I just think it's all about preference. I think you know when and I just think, the same way that I just knew, I am sorry, I just knew I was going to be married to a black man. Okay. I wanted me a black man. I tried to date outside my race. It just wasn't my thing. I
Mm-hmm.
just, I'll admit when somebody's attractive outside of my ethnicity, but I'm not sexually, I just don't want to, I don't, that's just my preference, right? Just the same way somebody could look at somebody outside the race and they realize that's what I want. And I just think that's what it is. And I just think it's your preference. But in doing so, you don't have to downplay your own ethnicity when you do that. I think we still should be supported. You don't have to badmouth black women because, this is why I decided to date outside my race. Just do it. We just realized I didn't have a lot of chemistry with some of the black women I dated or whatever that race was. And I just happened to find love in this particular ethnicity. And that's okay. I just don't think, I think we put too much into it. It's just a preference. Now,
Mm-hmm.
in my opinion, a preference is not a standard, which means you're going off character. There could be, somebody that you come across, I might make that exception, and that can happen. So, I just think preferences are preferences, but they're not standards. And I just think you should just don't downplay your own ethnicity, when you decide to date outside your race.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I think that's it. I think that's it. That's it, really. Yeah,
Yeah.
just do your thing and don't give your own race shit for, deciding to do your own thing.
Yep. 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 Yeah, you need
I
to
thought it
live
was
it
going to be a
alone.
rhyme. Like, do your thing, let it swing.
All right, Ashley.
So one, and I'm coming from my perspective as a white woman. So one thing that I will say that's possibly controversial is that um, to be married or in a relationship with a black man as a white woman specifically, just because I'm speaking from my own truth, it has its challenges. Okay,
Mm,
so and part of that is that a lot of the conversations in the household are surrounded around my husband's blackness.
mm,
And I had to bring that up. I had to be like, look, there are times where I feel unheard, unseen, unwelcomed, and because I have to give you so much attention and I understand why. I'm
mhm,
not saying I don't want to do that, and I'm not saying I don't want to understand, but I'm saying I also have my own issues, right? Like I was raised in poverty. I didn't have
mhm,
parents,
mhm.
lucky if I had a pillow sometimes, being for real.
Yeah,
So, we all have our things.
yeah.
So the conversation cannot always circle around the black man in a mixed race family. It has to be dispersed. We have to give attention to every person
Mhm,
in the house, and also counseling. You cannot get into a relationship, period, without counseling. But I think it's even more important when you're in an environment where you guys have different cultures. You need to have a counselor. So my husband and I have a black woman as our counselor, and I
oh,
mean, she is awesome because she will talk me through some of my things, but then she'll go back and be like, okay, this is a very typical black man thing, right? To my
mhm,
husband, and he'll have to be like, okay, yep, that is. And then she'll have to come back to me and be like, okay, but we have to have understanding and empathy because, and I'm like,
mhm.
yes, we do. So we have to have counseling. We have to give attention to everyone, and we have to lead with empathy. We have to.
Do you have any advice? If you had to actually, based on your situation, what would you say to a black man who's dating a white woman? Like in general, what would you say based on your experience that he may not think about that a white woman may be experiencing? If that question makes sense.
It does. I would prefer more
So
specificity.
like
Oh,
to
that
like
word's
what you
hard.
said when you said a little bit like you said how there's so much effort put on you like speaking of your husband in the household, like if you delve into that a little bit more specifically, like how would you want him to in terms of behavior to acknowledge you in that dynamic.
So
Mm.
where does he need to be more understanding at,
Okay.
essentially?
Yeah.
Okay. So, this brings up a topic of assimilation. So, when my husband and I first started dating, I would agree with him. Like he would say, it's hard being black in America, and I'd be like, it's hard being a woman in America. and
That
and
part.
and it wasn't to discredit him. It was because I was trying to assimilate. I was trying to say I don't understand the capacity, maybe, or the volume in which you're feeling these things, but I understand to some degree what you're saying. I'm often overlooked, I'm often unheard, I'm often ignored.
Yeah.
And I'm in a bar, I'm a bartender, and when the guests leave, they don't say goodbye to me, even though I'm the one that served them the whole time. They say
Mm.
goodbye to the gentleman partner that's with me.
Mhm.
Mm.
Okay. So I can assimilate and say, I know what it feels like to feel unseen, or
Yeah.
I know what it feels like to be in a high level of servitude and not get that praise back. Like, I understand what that means.
Hmm.
So that's something that we need to get counseling for, because that became a topic for him where he felt like I was maybe trying to tit for tat it, or like he felt that I was trying
Oh,
to, he felt I was trying to divide us and I was trying to bring us together.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
if I was to talk to the next black man that's randomly in a relationship with a white woman, I would say, like, kind of the same conversation, have that empathy and do assimilation. Say, do you know how it feels when this, and this happened the other day? And
Hmm.
like somebody, bumped into you and they didn't say anything. That's sometimes how I feel in society when this or this or this happens. Have
Hmm.
that assimilation conversation. I think that's so important.
Yeah.
Nice.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for this amazing conversation. The panelists, you guys did amazing. I appreciate you once again. And if you're watching this, I know you got something from this because I sure did. Be sure you hit me in the comment section, contribute to this conversation. Tamara, Phil, Ashley, thank you guys so much. Hope you enjoy the rest of your
Thank
day.
you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Awesome. Hey, what's up, everybody? My name is Mel. Thank you for joining my channel. Thank you for checking things out here. Oftentimes, we go on people's pages and are like, man, what is going on here? What is the purpose of this channel? So let me be clear. The purpose of this channel is to speak truth regarding the nuclear family. And when I say truth, I'm not saying my truth, not your truth, but the Lord's truth. All about the word, all about the ways and the will of God. What does he have to say about the nuclear family? And I believe the generations of today, whether it be Gen X, millennials, Gen Z, Gen Y, whatever the case may be, I believe now we have a very toxic relationship regarding marriage, regarding family, regarding having children. We're in a toxic dynamic as we speak. And honestly speaking, a lot of the answers that we're looking for in our community, a lot of the cures and a lot of the answers would come from a proper, fulfilled family home. If you go down the line of everyone's individual trauma, there you will find some negligence or some type of issue that they had with their parents. So here on this channel, we address those things head on. We don't place fear in those issues and avoid the topic. We do what Jesus did. And when he said, don't assume that I came for peace, but I came with a sword. I came to turn family members against family members if it means you following me. If you have to cut them off, if you have to address them and have arguments for you to follow me, so be it. And I think at this point in our society, we're at the so be it stage. So here at Life Coaching by Mel, I'm all about bringing healing to that. And the number one way to do that is have honest conversations. So if that's something you like, that's something you're into, that's something you really want to be a part of, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Be sure to comment. Let me know what you think about everything. I do my best to respond as often as I can. I want to hear from you guys. This is not about me. It's about healing our nation, healing our states, healing our cities, healing our community, healing our homes. Love you guys. Take care.
Let's go.